Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Division 2 of LSR in the F1 series. We are here tonight for round number 9, round Hungary. It's going to be a very, very interesting one indeed. There's a lot to play for this evening. It is just myself on commentary tonight, obviously normally joined by Mr. Ryan McLean, but he is ill, so we wish him a speedy recovery on his illness. But it's going to be very, very interesting. Hopefully some good racing ahead. We've got Callum in the chat. How are you doing, Callum? Are you hoping for a better race than we have seen from you previously? Obviously, Callum is one of 2 drivers serving a qualifying ban. Hello, Anthony. How are you doing, brother? The other one serving a qualifying ban tonight will be the admin himself, Fat Picasso. I wish I had a replay for you of why he is on a qualifying ban, but we will just say eyes were taken off the road for a split second in qualifying round Monza, and the back of Sparky Man's car was no more. But I'm sure Chris still feels bad to this day, but we'll be looking to get underway, hopefully. Yeah, Callum is with the qualifying ban, but I think you've got some good pace, so we could see some good things from you. Obviously, we do currently have 16 drivers in. Let me just make sure, is there anyone that... Yeah, actually there is someone I need to invite. I'm doing good, Callum. I'm doing good. We're just waiting for RC to come back on, and then we'll be good to go. And then hopefully when he is on, there he is. Perfect. But your strategy is pushing in the beginning. I think it's a good strategy. I think it's a very, very good circuit. I think the one DRS straight is since 5 push I make mistakes. Yeah, I think sometimes you are prone to pushing a little bit too hard, but I think with this one, because there's only one DRS zone, and it's also very, very easy for track limits around here, I think if you can keep it clean, you'll have a really, really good session. But looking at the standings, as we are just waiting for some of the drivers, it could be very interesting going into tonight. There's 2 DRS zones. What technically it's a double DRS, isn't it? Really. Well, I just count it as one. But we do have Sylvester's top of the standings, and Sylvester needs 11 points tonight to guarantee, or 11 points tonight to mathematically guarantee himself the championship victory based on wins alone. We then have Sparky Man in P2, followed by his teammates Scott Keatley or Ian Beale in P3. Dan is P4, Bakerman is in P5, Wilhelm P6, Mr. Camus P7, Fat Picasso is in P8. We've got Nico Hulkenberg or Sam Ross in P10, as Rothwell is not racing tonight. We've got Raz P12, Callum P13. We've got Oliver Conlon, who is also in the chat, also known as Grizzly Bean, who picked up some really, really solid points last week, put himself into P14 in the standings, and I'm sure he will be raring to go again. We also have Trim Tabs, who is another one who isn't racing tonight, which is very, very strange. Kizzy Too Dizzy is also in here in P17, and then John Boy is another one who is missing out. Obviously, Anthony Joy was hoping to be racing, but he is got work early in the morning, so he doesn't have the time to do it. Grizzly, you will do well tonight. We all know you're going to do well tonight. You always do well, so we'll see. But then Ferrari boys, currently 45 points ahead in the constructor standings. Very, very consistent from the 2 boys, so they could look to round it out if they do well enough here. but it's going to be very interesting to see what strategies people go for in the qualifying, whether or not they'll go lower wings to get that bit of extra straight line speed, or whether they will try and keep it straight in the corners. Yeah, Callum, really, you do need to not gain any more penalty points, because the last thing we want is another race ban from you. Like I said, just you're a good driver. We just got to calm it down just that little bit. I think that's the main thing that we just need to do, is calm it down a little bit, and you should all be good. McLaren is P2 in the constructors, and then Mercedes and Haas are only separated by 2 points in P3 and P4. And then we've got a dip down. Williams, Red Bull and Alpine all split by 3 points. So there's some good battling going on in the constructors, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see. Yeah, all Honda man. Don't know if you can hear me, but if you would like to message me privately when you are ready to go. Callum, it does save your setup if you put the setup on. So that's absolutely fine, as we do have a good number of drivers going on an outlap. By the looks of it, Sam Ross will be the first one to cross the line. We've then got Sylvester driving very, very close to the Haas of Kizzy to Dizzy. But we will look to stay on board with Sam Ross, who isn't hanging about in his outlap. This is something that I will advise all drivers. You don't, if you go flying around your outlap, all it's going to do is wear out those tyres, and that is not what you want. But we will stay on board here with Sam Ross, just to see what the first lap is, see what the benchmark is for everyone to aim at. Obviously, we can see that Sylvester is out, Grizzly Bean is out, and Grizzly Bean's in a Red Bull again tonight. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how them two get on. They had a fantastic battle last week around Mexico, so hopefully we can see it again. And then also we've got a big debut tonight from the one and only RC. He's a really, really good lad, really strong driver. He managed to get in, and I believe he's going to be racing full-time next season, which is going to be good. There is a lot to come from the F1 League into the next season. But as Sam Ross comes into the S section, let's see, will he keep it very tidy through here? Looks pretty tidy. Just let off the throttle a little bit, just trying to keep it within the white lines. Callum, he is a very good driver. He is someone that I see race every week. I engineer him every week. So there's been some good improvement from him in the last few weeks, and he's definitely one to watch. Definitely one to watch. But as Sam Ross comes over the line with a 1:17.4, what can these boys do in response? We will go down to Kizzy, as he will be the next one over the line, and he does go pole 2/1000ths faster. What can Sylvester do? This is going to be fast. Yeah, 1:15.8. That is a fast time from Sylvester there. Very, very fast. As Wilhelm goes into P2, and then also we've got Raz goes across the line into P5. What do I think about the new F1 game? I'm going to be honest, I haven't seen all that much of it. I had access to play the beta, and I didn't. I was just very, very busy. But for what I'm hearing different things. What I'm hearing currently is from some people that it's better for rig, and then I'm hearing from other people that it's definitely going to be sort of more suited to controller players, bringing it back to sort of a few years ago where controller was slightly better than rig. But all I can say is it was all the beta, really. Do I have all Honda man? So it's going to be interesting. I agree. The new UI is ugly, and also, as Wilhelm's got a 5-second grid penalty for illegal blocking. Oh, that is not good for him. But what I will say in terms of the HUD is purely because of I'm on PC. I will probably download a different HUD for it. If I'm honest, I might keep this year's HUD, but it all depends on obviously any new things that are in there. But as we do have, Grizzly Bean goes into P3, Sparking on P4, Dan moves himself up into P5 with a very, very solid banker lap. We've got RC on his lap, so we will stick on board with RC actually. I'm very, very interested to see where he can put himself. Yeah, 115 is bonkers. But you look, Wilhelm and Grizzly Bean are only half a second off that. RC getting a lovely tow here from Trucker. But you just want to hope he's not too close and gets held up by him. But it doesn't seem to be hindering him at all. And he looks very, very, very smooth through the S's, keeping it very balanced on the track. It's looking like a very solid lap. But is he going to be a little bit too close? Yeah, nicely done. Nicely done. Thank you, Trucker, for just moving out of the way. It may have hindered his time just a little bit there. But RC goes into P5. P5, and there will definitely be times to take it out there. I feel like it would have hindered him just a little bit, sort of in that last sector, or sort of especially the middle sector, just sat behind him. He'll be looking to improve on that. As we do also have Bakerman is on a fast lap currently, so we'll have a little look, just see where he will plonk himself. Yeah, last sector was busted. This looks solid enough from Bakerman. Bakerman goes himself into P5. A very, very good time from him. Now, English Dave has invalidated, and Rasta Mole will... takes a little bit of curb. I don't know what to think about that one. Yeah, Rasta Mole just getting his banker lap out there. Wagwan. Definitely not Noodle. Why is... Firstly, I didn't know your name was Chelsea Marshall for a start. But how you doing, Noodle? You alright? Yeah, Callum, you're quite lucky though, because as we said earlier in the chat, you don't need anaesthesia to use your hands and your legs, so you should be alright. You should be okay. But if I see you crashing, having half your face under anaesthetic is no excuse. That's what I will say. As Bakerman's a little bit up on his time, but he doesn't seem to be pushing, or whether he is pushing. If he can just eke out... Noodle, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I read out your full name. But that's what it come up with. That's just what it come up with. As Dan is on another lap here. Let's have a look at his sector 1 split time. Noodle, you've killed me. You have absolutely killed me. Let's have a look. Oh, Dan's a 10th down. He will not be happy with that. Sam Ross is a 10th and a half up though. Yeah, Callum, that's going to change quite quickly. All the guys have to do is put the wheels on the tarmac and not go over the white line, and you are dropping down the grid fast. Here we go. Let's have a look. What was Dan's split? Oh, Dan's definitely going to be coming back into the box, but Sam Ross is flying around now. Let's see. Let's have a quick look. Sam Ross is definitely going to be sticking this very tight to the inside curb with a nice exit by the looks of things. Comes across the line. Yeah, lost a little bit of time in that last sector. I don't know whether that was to do with potentially Wilhelm or anyone like that. Let's have a look at Sylvester's split. Sylvester is 8/100ths up. So Sylvester is looking to improve his time. This is someone who is a Division 1 driver. There's no doubt in my mind. Did really, really well alongside Grizzly Bean last Thursday, as Sylvester decides he wants to break the marker boards, which is absolutely fine, as Pies is no longer racing in the league. But yeah, Sylvester and Grizzly Bean with fantastic efforts. last Thursday. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do. As Sylvester looks to have backed off a little bit here. Whether or not he will go in the pits, Grizzly Bean is definitely running slow. Wilhelm is still slightly up on his time on the end of the first sector. Oh, he's definitely up on his time now. He's at 1.5 tenths up. He still needs a little bit of time as Grizzly Bean goes even closer to Sylvester. He's 0.5 tenth down on him now, just over. So it's going to be a very, very interesting battle between these two. As Wilhelm does round the final corner. Lovely exit there. Comes across the line. Yeah, 2.5 tenths better. Still a 1.5 down on Sylvester, but that is a very, very good lap for him. As we also have Trucker is went 1.7 seconds up on his time, puts himself into P11. And then Raz is still in P12. Yeah, Grizzly, I think you can get that. I think you can get that. English Dave here. Oh, who did you get impeded by? Who did you get impeded by? And if you have a clip of it, please do submit it as a ticket. The stewards will look at it and penalise the driver if they did indeed impede you. That is something that they will look at. Got impeded by Rastamar. Okay, are you streaming or did you get it clipped at least? Because if you've got it clipped, we can deal with that if you put it in a ticket afterwards. Let's have a look. What's Raz's split at the end of sector 2? Okay, so he's 7.1 up, so a little bit more, and he will jump his teammate. Yeah, perfect, Dave. So if you, I keep saying Birmingham, but yeah, Dave, if you put it in, and we'll get that all sorted for you. As Mr. Camus is also in now, by the looks of it. As Ian Beale is going to start his first lap as well. What can he do? Suddenly the season break is ages. What do you mean the season break is ages? I think we're having a month off, if I'm correct in saying. It'll be the end of June. Yeah, it is a month. Yeah, we are. Yeah. Yeah, don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that, Callum. Can't say too much. Can't say too much. But there is a lot, like I said earlier, there is a lot coming for next season and the end of this season. Some big changes. Some little things that might be happening here and there. But more will be revealed, I'm sure, in the next couple of weeks for you. As Ian Beale will come across the line, and his first time will put in P3 with a 1:16.0. Callum, I'm sure you can't wait for the demolition race. That is what you do every race. But Rastamal is currently on his lap. What will his split time be? He's 3 1/1000ths up. So a little bit of improvement. He's still got a fair way to go. Oh, as he makes a bit of a mistake there, and he will definitely be backing out that lap. Was supposed to be revealed like 3 times. Yeah. Well, Spence, all I can say is if there was other choices when the head admin role was available, you know, things would have been out there, you know. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, like I said, there is a lot to come. As Sam Ross is just over 2 tenths up, so if he can get a little bit more out, it can push him into the top 10, potentially also overtake Dave in the top 9. Chris, I know Chris, you'll do anything to penalise me anyway. Sam Ross takes a very close line, in my opinion. Oh, he goes 7th. What a lap. In my opinion, going into the last corner, start a little bit wider, because then you can get on the throttle earlier and just swoop the car around. Sweep the car around, either or. Chris, I'm also still waiting for the stewards report out so I can put my my 2 weeks notice in the league. You know, um, there's more on that to come. There is more on that to come. But let's have a little look. Oh, as RB Racing has invalidated again, but I think he's got another invalidation if I'm not correct. If I'm correct in saying that may have been a this and next, but we'll have a look. As All Honda Man is 1.5 tenths up, he will be looking to fight back at his teammates. That is one thing I will say about these Aston boys, is regardless of what happens, they do not give up. They just keep going to the end, which is a real sort of positive to their mentality and attitude towards the racing. They're always striving to improve, always just putting in a few extra laps. Get the paracetamol. Yeah, no worries, no worries. You get the paracetamol already. Do as many as you need. Pop like 12 and then you'll forget about it. You won't feel the pain then. Just make sure you don't close your eyes. But as we do have some more drivers on their fast laps, obviously coming to the end of the qualifying here with 1:40 left to go. Let's have a quick jump on board with Bakerman and just see what he can do here. As there is a bit of wing on the track by the looks of it. There we go, as Bakerman puts it into P5. Whoa, Callum, I didn't say overdose, I just said a good dose, is what I said. And his teammate, Sam Ross and English Dave, have both retired. Kizzy has just started his lap. Dan is currently a 10th down on his best time. So potentially not looking for any improvement from Dan unless he can really hook up this last sector. We will have a... There we go. Nice line through there. Sweeps. Beautiful view on the rear wing here. As Dan jumps RC into P8 as RC is just about to start his lap, along with a number of other drivers. We do have Wilhelm getting a fantastic tow from Sylvester here. A really, really nice tow from him. We've also got RC just about to start his lap. Callum, like I said, brother, like I warned all the drivers, just take it steady. You don't need to go crazy fast. Just take it steady and you'll all be good. That's my advice to everyone. I don't know whether... I think Wilhelm and Sylvester... If Wilhelm keeps getting this tow and gets any closer, then... Oh, no, it doesn't matter. Wilhelm has invalidated there. Let's have a look at Grizzly Bean. Grizzly Bean has improved a little bit. He's still going to need to find another sort of half a tenth just to make sure. That is as long as... Oh, Sylvester has invalidated. So this is on Grizzly Bean. Let's jump down to RC. RC is a little bit up on his time. He's half a tenth up on his time. But we will stay on board with Grizzly Bean here. Grizzly Bean is 8/100ths up, and that will currently put him in provisional pole if he can hook up this last sector. Let's have a look here. Yeah, I agree. Come on, Grizz. I've raced against him quite a number of times this season. That's a really good exit. Grizzly Bean takes it. Provisional pole. Ian Beale will also come across the line and go. Stays P3. Bit of improvement out of him. Stays P3. Sparky Man is a tenth and a bit up, but is on the back of All Honda Man by the looks of it. But will get a nice tow. But I think it's hindered him. Yeah. All Honda Man has hindered him. As RC puts it into P7. So RC definitely made some good time up there. As we have got the race. That's it. That's a new user. So you look. There we go. Short there. So Grizzly Bean takes P1. The race has 1 million subs. Wow, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for jumping in the race. We appreciate that. If you could drop a subscription, that would be fantastic. We are still trying to grow. Obviously, we do a multitude of racing, whether it be iRacing, we do some Assetto Corsa, and then obviously the 2 divisions of F1 on a Monday and a Thursday as well. But as we see here, Grizzly Bean takes pole, Sylvester in P2, Ian Beale P3, Wilhelm in P4, Bakerman P5, Sparky Man in P6, RC on his debut in P7, Sam Ross P8, Dan P9, Mr. Camus rounds out the top 10. And then we have well, it just means you're just gonna have to put in that little bit extra practice, and then you should be hopefully able to get that. That's all I can say. Is just get that extra practice in. No 5-minute break. No 5-minute break. So get your setups on, and off we go. See you later, Callum. Good luck, brother. And like I said, just take it easy into turn 1. As we got Al Thor. Is it Al or AI? I'm trying to work this out. It looks like a lowercase Al from me. So if it is Al, Grizzly Bean is the GOAT. I think he's a great kid. Great kid. Real strong driver. Has performed in Div 1 and Div 2 here, and then also Div 2 elsewhere as well. So as we do get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 red lights, and away we go. So we've got a fantastic start here. Oh, it's Callum. Callum has got a drive through. It is Al. Perfect. I did think it was, because the second letter looked a little bit too long. As the boys, for the most part, as All Honda Man has got a penalty for a collision, and All Honda Man does have no wing. Let's have a look at the tyre splits here. Very split down the middle here between the softs and the mediums. Grizzly Bean looking to extend it. Oh, she's got a Red Bull round. Mr. Camus is currently facing the wrong way, which is not ideal. Oh lordy, this is getting hectic. Gents, just take it easy. It's my only advice. Just take it calm. It's the first lap. You can't win a race on the first lap, as I believe we may have a potential illegal overtake here. Here to watch your mate Grizzly. Yeah, like I said, I've raced him a number of times. Really strong driver. And as we've got 2 cars going wide here, it's the 2 Aston Martins just having a bit of fun at the back of the grid. And then we've got Mr. Camus catching the pack back up. Yeah, like I said, Grizzly is a really strong driver. Looking like he's got a lot of pace out front, managing to keep these soft runners behind. But for how long? They are coming at him thick and fast. As Callum decides to stay out for another lap yet again. Very interesting to see is we've got a move here from Dan and Sam Ross, looking to go side by side, but it does look like Sam Ross has just managed to keep the position with a great bit of defending there against Dan. He helped you with your setup earlier. What track was the setup for? As we've got Ian Beale is basically pushing Bakerman around the track, but Sylvester has broke clear here and is 8/10 up the road. What Grizzly Bean needs to do is either sit on the back of Sylvester or allow 1 or 2 of these soft runners to get through and just allow them to sort of pull him along, because give it a few laps and them tyres will start to come to you. As we do see the race strategies, we have got the soft medium and the medium hard. I also believe that we will get some medium softs as an alternate strategy as well. But Grizzly Bean is now 1.2 seconds behind Sylvester. Sylvester really getting these soft tyres warmed up very quickly. But is Callum going to pull into the pits for his... Yeah, he does. Callum will pull into the pits to serve his drive-through penalties. Wilhelm also jumps in. Whether or not he does need a wing change, we will stay on board and just have a look. But they both do drop down, and it sort of leaves RC a little bit vulnerable as Razout goes for a move up the inside. With a lovely move there. And RC will look to come back at him, but Razout looks like he's just got the move done. English Dave is sat just behind them. It's sort of spreading out quite nicely here. We do have a yellow flag in Sector 1. And it's RB Racing has retired in the pits. That is not what we like to see at all. Retiring after 2 laps. But if there is a reason behind it, please do let us know. But just having a look here, Bakerman has now got past Grizzly Bean as well. And we'll be looking to get within the DRS of Sylvester. But it's going to be very, very tough. And what can Grizzly Bean do? Can he hang on? No, he's just dropped outside of the DRS as well. So Bakerman, oh, he's just creeping back in. It's going to be very close indeed. As yeah, he does just miss out, so he will be under attack from Ian Beale. Ian Beale will be looking to go under the attack here, but he just seems to be like he's relaxed. Not too worried about getting past him just yet, but he will need to make a move at some point, else he will start to drop off when these tyres do sort of switch over. As soon as them softs hit 25%, Grizzly Bean will be on an absolute flyer. But looking further down the grid, we've got Dan still following around with Sam Ross. We've got Razout has pulled out up just under a second gap on RC, and then we've got English Dave just following him quite nicely, and then we've got Trucker, Fat Picasso, Mr. Camus up into 13th after the spin earlier on. Callum comes out in P14, and then obviously we've had a couple of pit stops with the guys behind. But as it stands here, as Grizzly Bean looks like he may have made a mistake here. He's dropped sort of 7/10 back on this lap. So whether or not he's just having a little bit of an issue trying to get these medium compounder tyres fired up, it remains to be seen. But Sparky Man is also in the DRS of his Ferrari teammate now. So these two will probably try and work together just to get past Grizzly Bean and then help each other along to get onto the back of the front two. As All Honda Man does pick up a 3-second time penalty for track limits, as he is having his battle with his teammate Rastamol at the back of the pack. But here we go here. Sparky Man just dropping out of DRS again slightly. They're spread out quite nicely here again, as RC is looking to get back into the DRS of Razout and try and utilise him to get onto the back of the drivers ahead. Yeah, he looks to be sort of comfortably sort of just biding his time now, just cruising along, as we got Trucker trying to make some positions, getting a little bit closer to the back of English Dave, as we have got a yellow flag again, and it does look like Rastamol is pulling back into the pits on his hard tyres. As Trucker picks up a 3-second time penalty, Rastamol picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lanes. Rasta, if you can hear me, please just carry on, brother. Just have some fun out there, get some laps in, get some practice in, and you'll be all good. But Grizzly Bean, crucially, has dropped both Ian Beale and Sparky Man out of DRS. And also, RC is back in the DRS of Razout, getting a lovely little tow down the straight. And these two are closing on the back of Dan and also Sam Ross ahead of them. Yeah, just getting a beautiful slipstream. Should just sit behind, yeah, and just sit behind him for the rest of the lap. If he's still this close towards next lap, try and make a move and get onto the back of the boys ahead. But Dan is also back into the DRS of Sam Ross, but goes a little bit wide there. That is not something you want to be doing, otherwise you will start to pick up some penalties very, very quickly indeed. But Grizzly Bean has now pulled 2 seconds to Ian Beale. The soft should not be going off that quickly, but he is also making some more moves up at front, pulling a little bit of time back towards Bakerman. So whether or not he's just managed to get in the rhythm now after a couple of shaky laps at the start, and he should look to make more moves. But Sparky Man will definitely be looking to make a move on Sylvester here. Yeah, Sparky Man getting ever so close, but Sparky Man's flashing. Sparky Man has burnt all of his battery to keep on the back of his teammate, as we also have got RC, gets the move done and Raz out. Very nicely done. Now, can he get onto the back of Dan and Sam Ross? Currently 6/10 off, 7/10 now off the back of the DRS, so he'll be looking to get a lot closer. But from what I know about RC, he definitely comes stronger towards the end of the race. He likes to get himself in a nice little groove to start with, and then when it comes to the end of the race, he will put pressure on everybody in front of him. But he is closing quite quickly. He's took 3/10 out of the boys so far. And Bakerman is just outside of the DRS on Sylvester, but Grizzly Bean is eating into that time currently. He's now 1.3 behind them. And Bakerman is just trying to keep within this second gap. It keeps fluctuating sort of in and out of it, so it's going to be interesting to see. But it does look like he will get the DRS on Sylvester here. But he probably will not be close enough to make any sort of move. But Grizzly Bean is definitely closing on them at a very, very fast pace. But the boys seem to be very, very settled now in their rhythm. Very sort of spread out in some factors. A lot of them only just outside of the DRS. So if they can maybe put a little bit more pressure down, as RC does break the second gap to Dan and Sam Ross. So he will be looking just to stick with the back of him, potentially make some moves a little bit later on. Whether or not he does need to get a bit of battery back remains to be seen. But this could be a really, really good battle, as well as the battle at the front, as Grizzly Bean is a 1/10.5 off getting the DRS from the boys in P1 and P2. So we'll have a little look as Bakerman's getting closer. Bakerman may be in the perfect position here to mount an attack on Sylvester on the DRS straight for the next lap. As we did see there, Trucker picks up another 3-second time penalty. He's definitely going to have to be a little bit smoother in some of these corners, but Bakerman is getting closer and closer as we do have... Oh, it's got a safety car. We've got a safety car. Razout has lost the back end by the looks of it and has ended up in the wall as Fat Picasso jumps straight into the pits. It's going to be interesting to see what the rest of the grid does. We've got 4 drivers into the pits, 5 drivers into the pits. Wilhelm has decided to stay out. I don't know if any of the drivers can hear me, but I don't think hards will go to the end. So if I'm you, I'm putting mediums on and then pitting for softs later on. Or you could do it the reverse. But I didn't tell you that. But English Dave and Trucker have both opted for the hards in the hope that they can go to the end. But I will just have a quick look for you as Kizzy picks up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is not ideal. But having a look here, hards will go 23 to 27 laps, depending on how hard you push them. So the boys may be able to make it to the end on the hards, but they will be very, very slow come the end of the race. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, we have got Sylvester and Bakerman in. Grizzly Bean jumps in. Spikerman jumps in. Ian Bill jumps in, but will get double stacked by his teammates. So may lose a couple of positions here. Sam Ross also in the pits. Dan and RC follow him in. I feel like this is going to be a pattern of every driver will jump in the box. Let's have a look at these Ferrari boys and just see how much time they do actually lose. It's going to be interesting to see. Will RC jump him as well? No, just doesn't jump him. But the boys have come out, yeah, similar positions to where they went in. Grizzly Bean is going to try and go to the end. Now, last week there was a strategy call from him which did indeed cost him the race, or at least cost him a very, very good shot at the win. So has he made the right call this week? Let's have a look here. So yeah, we've got Sylvester and Bakerman opting for the stop, going on to the medium compound tyres. Grizzly Bean will most likely try and make it to the end. Sparky Man on the 2-stop. Sam Ross 1-stop by the looks of it, unless there is a late safety car. Dan has gone for the soft compounder tyres, so he's going to be looking to make moves early. Ian Beale looking for the mediums, and then RC going, if I know RC, he will probably try and go to the end on them hard tyres. It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, the safety car is... we will definitely be going around again. But it's just whether or not can Rastamol... oh no, Rastamol is currently there. It's all Honda Man and Kizzy too dizzy. Rastamol's stuck here. I don't know whether it's telling him to unlap himself. Rastamol, if it is telling you to unlap yourself, please do so safely. The last thing we want is any carnage, but obviously he will ghost if he does stay in that position when the safety car comes in. But all Honda Man is miles back here. Obviously it does help him because he will now be on the back of the pack again, but at what cost with his tyres? He will be absolutely flying around, same as Kizzy. Kizzy was absolutely flying around to get onto the back of the pack here. But gents, I will say again, into turn 1 on the restart, be cautious. We don't need any heroes. We don't need another safety car. We've gone 9 laps, 10 laps without one. Let's try and get to the end of the race without another one if we can. Spence, I would love if we turn red flags on. Purely because then we don't have to have this 2 laps of driving about nonsense. We can just, the 2 laps get cut and then off you go. But unfortunately with EA being EA, there is a glitch with the red flags where it doesn't always put you on the tyres that it's supposed to. But as we do have all Honda Man is here, so the drivers will be going underway, which is beautiful. Sylvester knows what he's doing. They throw him out. Yeah, they do also throw them out way too much. But I will say, as it stands, like I said, Sylvester will be your Division 2 champion by the end of this evening. Because Sparky Man needs to outscore Sylvester by 11 points to keep it alive. If not, then this is Sylvester's title. As Trucker and Fat Picasso seem to be sort of going side by side here. But we are back underway as we are very, very close together. Sylvester definitely didn't have the best of restarts here. He's going to be straight under attack from Bakerman, who is going to look to go around the outside. But just runs out of road by the look of it. I can't see a thing, so if anything's happened... It looks like Ian Beale, RC and Rastamol all facing the wrong way. Which is never good. As we got Sam Ross is still trying to defend from Dan on the softs. Have a little look. Trucker is now up into PA and on the back of English Dave, as we've got a Fat Picasso and Mr. Camus are both missing front wings, which is never ideal. I'm sure that will be in a ticket very, very soon. As RC and Ian Beale are on the back of them. Whoa, what is going on here then, boys? What is going on here? But it does allow Ian Beale to overtake RC. And by the looks of it, Fat Picasso cannot keep his car in a straight line. Don't worry, Rastamol, you are ghosted. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't make a difference to the boys. But Bakerman has pulled nearly a second on Sylvester already. And again, Sylvester has pulled a second on Grizzly Bean. But as we know, Grizzly Bean can go to the end. As Dan does get past Sam Ross, but goes a little bit deep into the corner and Sam Ross switches it back. Do apologise about that, everyone. I had to sneeze. But Callum is up into P7. Oh no, Callum just backed out of it and is now down into P8. With Wilhelm on the attack behind him on these soft tyres. As we do get Fat Picasso and Mr. Camus both dive into the pits to get a wing change. But it's looking very, very close between English Dave, Callum and Wilhelm at the moment. Obviously, English Dave does have that penalty to contend with. And we'll just have a look. It is just a 3-second time penalty. So, not the end of the world, but he won't be wanting to get any more of those. But Callum is looking fast behind him. He's looking very, very racy. And Wilhelm just sort of peeking out a little bit. Just having a look at the cars in front. Oh, there's a bit of front wing missing. There's a bit of contact between Callum and English Dave. And there's a lot going on here. Again. As Callum will peel off into the pit and get his wing changed. But Wilhelm will now be on the attack against English Dave. And the difference in the tyres, there should be not too much of a defence coming their way. As Callum does get it nicely done round the first corner. We've also got Trucker looking to go on the attack against English Dave as well. But just sits behind him. And just sort of lets him go. As English Dave goes very, very wide there. And Trucker does get through. And now Kizzy is going to be on the attack. Are we going to go side by side a bit? No, Kizzy thinks better of it. And just tucks in behind him. As All Honda Man is now sat just behind them as well. But we've got a lot of movement since the restart. Sam Ross is managing to stick on to the back of Dan here, and also Sylvester is now within 4/10 of Bakerman. Bakerman pulled that nearly second gap after the first lap of the restart, and it's just all been completely undone here. And it looks like Sylvester will probably look to make a move in the next lap or so, just to retain that lead. As his rear wing does open up for the DRS, but he just doesn't seem quite close enough. So whether or not Bakerman did use a little bit of battery there to defend against him, but that would definitely be a move that gets done. As All Honda Man, yeah, English Dave jumps into the box. Whether or not he does have a bit of damage, yeah, it does look like they are changing the front wing here. So a little bit of damage there for him, and it does allow RC back up into P12. Who is following on the back of Ian Beale. And these two are making inroads on the boys in front. All Honda Man and Kizzy are going to be under threat very, very shortly from those two boys. But as we look towards the front again here, Sparky Man is still following Grizzly Bean around. So it's going to be interesting to see as Dan picks up a 3-second time penalty. And All Honda Man picks up yet another penalty as well. So this is not ideal for these boys. But Dan has just managed to pull out that second gap on Sam Ross. But we do have Spiky Man is coming up to the back of Grizzly Bean, but will not be close enough. As we have also got Sylvester still sat behind Bakerman, just biding his time still. He knows he just needs a top 4 finish and the championship is his. Or, in fact, he just needs to not lose 11 points to Sparky Man and the championship is his. So as it stands, he is in a very, very strong position here to round out Season 1 of Division 2. As Wilhelm further down the grid does pick up a 3-second penalty as well, trying to push on them soft tyres just to get away from Trucker, but Trucker seems to be very, very comfortable on these hard tyres. Very comfortable indeed, but it's going to be interesting to see if these boys do go to the end or not on these hard tyres, or whether or not they do pit for softs later on. As again, we got Sylvester following Bakerman down the straight. Will he be close enough? We do have a yellow flag in Sector 2, but it seems like it has been cleared up. I believe it was Ian Beale made a bit of a mistake in the S's. Again, Sylvester just not quite close enough. He's definitely just sat behind us. Sam Ross does get the move done on Dan, and Dan has a bit of a wiggle on the exit. So Dan will be looking to try and get back past him, otherwise the tyres will swap over very, very soon, and Sam Ross will just disappear into the distance. But it's a very, very good battle. It's a very interesting battle. Obviously, Grizzly Bean went for the alternate to start with, went on the medium tyres, so he will 100% be trying to get it long, to stay long, and hope there isn't a safety car, or if there is a safety car, it is very late in the race when the other boys on the medium tyres will have pit. But the front two seem to be pulling about a tenth or a couple of tenths out of him every single lap as it stands, but I think give it another sort of 4 or 5 laps, maybe a bit less, and those medium tyres will start to come back to him again. Sylvester's definitely looking closer again, but I think Sylvester may be lacking in a little bit of straight line speed, as he does fake the move on Sparky Man there. Sparky Man is also sat behind Grizzly Bean, just sort of biding his time. Doesn't need to make any sort of moves just yet, but towards the end of the race he will need to get a move on, otherwise this championship will slip away from him. As we've also got RC gets past All Honda Man and opens up the DRS flap and will be on the back of Kizzy very, very shortly, as All Honda Man broke a little bit late there, I would say. But yeah, RC is now going to be putting some pressure on Kizzy and seeing if he can get past him. Obviously he will do currently based on the penalties, but he'll be trying to make his move, because if he can make a couple of positions here, he could quite easily finish in the top 6, and depending on safety cars, other penalties, he could make some more positions as well. But looking here, Grizzly Bean has took 2-3 tenths out of the boys in front this lap. Sparky Man's still right behind him, and Sylvester is also very, very close to the back of Baker Man again. Still doesn't look close enough to really make a good move of it, as Grizzly Bean does move over to defend the inside line against Sparky Man and defends it pretty well, and seems to have had, for me, this second DRS straight is just not quite long enough. But I think Grizzly Bean, oh, bit of a mistake there from Baker Man, which is not good, as RC does get another move done into turn 1 on Kizzy Too Dizzy, as we have got an Aston Martin round, and it is Rastamol, but Rastamol, being the absolute champ he is still driving along, still putting the laps out, and this is something we absolutely love to see. But crucially, Grizzly Bean now only 1.5 seconds behind the boys ahead. So have their medium tyres hit the first drop-off zone at 25%. And he has dropped gained a little bit of time to Sparky Man as well. Sparky Man isn't anywhere near as close as he was. But these boys are 10 seconds up the road to Sam Ross behind them, which is absolutely crazy. But Grizzly Bean is nearly within a second of the boys ahead now, and he is still closing. But it's going to be, let's have a quick look. Yeah, seems to be in a good rhythm, doesn't seem to be flashing currently, so he's definitely putting some good times out, as Dan does jump into the pits So I presume Dan will probably jump on the medium set of tyres. Yeah, he will to the end of the race. So that is Dan's pit stops now. Looking for a bit of an undercut on the cars around him, just to sort of try and get past a couple or anything like that. As All Honda Man has a little look at the inside of Ian Beale, but decides against it. Whether or not he just didn't fancy his tyres into the first corner. But we have got a four-way DRS train now. Oh, Sylvester just drops out of Bakerman's DRS here. So Sylvester will be under attack very, very shortly from Grizzly Bean and Spikerman, as we have got a yellow flag in Sector 1. But I think that is just due to lapped cars, which is absolutely fine. Here we go. What can Grizzly Bean do? How much battery has he got? Oh, Sylvester jumps in the box. Now Sylvester does have another set of mediums at his disposal, but crucially will come out about 20, I think it's about 23 or 24 seconds behind the boys in front on the Hungary pit stops. That may be slightly short, but it's around that sort of time. So it's going to be interesting to see if Grizzly Bean does stay out. Can Sylvester get onto the back of him, as Rastamol does pick up another 3-second time penalty, as we do have a yellow flag in Sector 2, but I believe that is Rastamol again. But also, crucially for RC, this will help him, because Trucker being in the way of Sylvester will help RC just pull him ever closer to Trucker. Well, yeah, which it does look like that's what's going to happen. Sylvester getting very, very close to the back of Trucker. Obviously, won't want to make any sort of risky moves, just in case it does go wrong. We'll just want to sit on the back of Trucker, as if he does go for a move, which it does look like he's going to, Trucker may come back at him here when it comes to the DRS on the straight. But it's whether or not he does have enough car under him with those tyres to be able to do that. But RC is also 0.6 off the back of him, as Dan picks up a 3-second time penalty for track limits again, which he will not be happy about. Let's have a look at the... Yeah, so we've got 6 seconds for all Trucker, Honda Man and Dan. And we've got 3 seconds for Callum, Wilhelm and English Dave, and then Flapcast we've got 3, and Rastamol with 8 seconds of penalties currently. But looking at these times, Sylvester is closing at a good rate of knots on these boys ahead of him. Grizzly Bean has now dropped a little bit further behind Bakerman as well, which is not going to be good, as Sparky Man is now on the hunt again. But having a look here, RC is basically pushing Truck around the track and will be most likely looking to get a move done on this next lap to get past him. But let's have a little look here with the battle between Sparky Man and Grizzly Bean. Sparky Man a second down, but will he utilise some of this battery to try and get himself closer or even past him? No, he just looks happy and content, just sat behind, as English Dave picks up another time penalty there. Sylvester takes the fastest lap again. This man is on a serious charge. He's took 2.6 seconds out of the boys ahead in the last lap. As RC did get the move done on Trucker there. They seem to be battling side by side going into the next corner. Oh, there's a little bit of contact. There's a little bit of contact. It looked like Trucker just caught the curb on the inside there, and it just bounced him over into the path of RC. But RC manages to keep the car on the track and will look to get that move done again. But Sylvester here is now within... Oh, as he goes a little bit wide there. He doesn't want any more of those, as that could cost him the victory here. But looking very, very close onto the back. He's basically pushing Sam Ross through this time. It's going to be interesting to see what tyres Bakerman goes onto. He's jumped onto a brand new set of mediums. In my opinion, you're probably at the time where you could have just stuck a set of softs on and gone to the end. But Sylvester does get past Sam Ross, and they are both clear of Bakerman quite comfortably there. But now Sylvester has a big task on his hands. He's 13 seconds back. Can he get onto the back of the boys in front before his tyres do go off? Obviously, Sparky Man will have to pit again, where Grizzly Bean does not. So when Sylvester's tyres hit that 25%, will it completely stop them? As Callum does jump in the box for a brand new set of softs. I wonder if he heard me there on the fact that his softs will now go to the end. But RC is past Trucker as well, as we have got a McLaren round. And that McLaren round is that of English Dave, who currently has no wing. And we've got a safety car. We have a safety car. If any of you boys are listening, you put softs on right now. Grizzly Bean peels into the pits. Sparky Man peels into the pits. What will Sylvester do here? Obviously, Sylvester will get double stacked behind his teammate if his teammate does decide to box, which indeed English Dave does pit. And Sylvester jumps straight into the pits here. Bakerman on his brand new mediums doesn't need to box. So Bakerman will inherit P3. Oh, this is definitely costing Sylvester. This has cost Sylvester a lot of time here. As Dan also stays out on 5-lap-old mediums. This race is spicing up here. This is what Grizzly Bean would have wanted. Grizzly Bean has now got the buffer of 4 cars between him and Sylvester. We've got Ian Beale stayed out on his mediums. Dan stayed out. Bakerman obviously had fresh mediums on, so he will stay out. Trucker has put on a new set of mediums, which may not have been the smartest to move there, as Kizzy is on used mediums as well. Paul Honda Man and Callum racing each other. Callum, you're on the safety car. Please slow down, brother. Slow down and stop weaving behind him, please. The last thing we want is for you to get in any more trouble. Callum, all you're doing is burning out your tyres, mate. If you can hear me, please just slow it down a touch. Mr. Camus on a new set of mediums. Then we've got English Dave and Rastamol also on new sets of stuff. Rastamol just coming out of the pit, so the safety car will definitely go around again. Grizzly Bean is in a really, really strong position here. Obviously, as it stands, Sparky Man picks up 15 points. Sylvester picks up 10. So even as it stands, Sylvester will get the championship. But if any of the cars behind get any moves done on Sylvester, then that could be the difference. Obviously, boys, please, single file. We don't need any side-by-sides. Who is that English Dave? English Dave, if you can hear me, if it's telling you to unlap yourself, then please do. Other than that, brother, we need to ideally stay in single file if possible. Just because the last thing we want is drivers racing side by side. It puts other people off, and then there could be some damage and things like that, and that's the last thing we want with such a short amount of time to go. If I'm one of these back runners, if I'm Fat Picasso, if I'm Mr. Camus, I'd have boxed again for a brand new set of softs, because yes, you're at the back, and yes, there's been a safety car in everyone's pit, but those 2 laps might accumulate to 3-4%, depending on, well, Callum or Honda Man, it might even be 5, the amount they were pushing. So it would have been worth boxing again and having that extra 5%, because then as soon as them boys hit the sort of the first drop off, you're right on the back of them. But hopefully we should be all good to go here. It all depends on Rastamol, I believe. So we may go around again, which I think it looks like we will be. Yeah, we will be going around again just to give Rastamol a bit of time to catch up with the pack. So, like we said, as it stands, Sylvester will win the championship here tonight. As we've also just got the updated standings for Division 1 as well, which is a nice reading. Obviously, Reg is your championship winner, which got confirmed previously for Division 1. It's going to be very, very interesting for Division 1 next season with the likes of Lou and Pro Stevens there from the start. And obviously, if HD Altrapi can come back and try and battle back for the title he did win last season. But yeah, just looking as well, Grizzly Bean and Sylvester both in the Division 1 race managed to take P4 and P5 around Mexico. So definitely some strong pace from the boys, not just in Div 2 but also into Division 1 as well. Right, now we should get safety car in this lap notification very, very shortly. And then we should be back underway. There we go, we have got the notification. Boys, take it steady. Come around the last couple of corners. It looks like everyone's behaving themselves. We're all looking in a good spot. It's going to be interesting to see, can these medium boys put any sort of defence up? Obviously Dan on 7 lap hold and Ian Beale's on 4, so it's going to be very, very tough for them come the end of the race, but we will find out shortly as Grizzly Bean will get us back underway. And Grizzly Bean has gone, he's pulled a bit of a gap to the cars behind. Sylvester already going on the attack against Sam Ross. And a bit of contact there, but gets the move done. Obviously, Sam Ross goes a little bit wide because of that. Dan is under attack as well, and we will stick on board with these two. And just keep an eye on it. Make sure everything stays very nice, very tidy. Which it looks to be. Sam Ross is looking to go have a little look back at Sylvester here. Ian Beale also very, very close. RC just in behind in P8, having a very, very strong drive for his debut. He will be definitely happy with that. Actually makes it up into P6 with a couple of issues with that. So RC is now up into P6, just behind Dan, and obviously Dan does have the penalty. But what we know with Sam Ross is Sam Ross will fight until the end. Same with Ian Beale. Sam Ross looking very, very close on the back of RC. Maybe a little bit of contact there, but not too much in it, so we should be okay. But Grizzly Bean has pulled out 6/10 on Baker Man behind him and got a really, really good exit out of the corner. Obviously, Sparky Man is there. Sylvester's 1.6 seconds down as Kizzy jumps into the box, potentially to get a wing change, or whether or not he feels like the soft compound tyres is probably his best bet, as he does slow down a little bit too much potentially. As Sam Ross does get the move done on RC, and there's a little bit of tyre banging as they are going around with each other, but not too much in it. Obviously, they do have the used mediums of Dan in the way. But the front three are still pulling a bit of a gap on Sylvester here. So Sylvester is currently in a bit of a battle with himself. It's going to be interesting to see, can these soft boys get past the Baker Man? Or if you're Grizzly Bean, can you pull that 1 second gap to Baker Man? Or just leave yourself enough tyres that you can keep defending until the end? It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Sam Ross here, as he definitely would have got a warning for that, as he does go wide. As Callum picks up a 3-second time penalty, and Sam Ross goes very, very wide, and that invites RC straight past him. And also Ian Beale's going to have a little bit of a look at the inside as well, as Sam Ross goes off the track again, and sort of, yeah, that was always going to happen, I think. Sam Ross getting a little bit too excited, but RC is looking very, very, very close onto the back of Dan. Will look to make a move up the inside, yeah, and gets it done quite nicely. As Sam Ross has I believe, has just put his own car into the wall. Sam Ross has, from what I see, put his own car into the wall on the straight, which is never good to see. So let's have a quick look. The safety car should only be out for a lap, maybe 2 at most. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see. What some of the boys do. We've got Trucker in the pit. We've got Fat Picasso in the pit. Strangely, Dan has stayed out on his medium tyres. As the boys are on the back of the safety car now. It shouldn't be too long before we are racing. Hopefully. I don't think Kizzy is going to catch up with them. So we may be going around for 2 laps, but we will get racing for the final 3 or 4 laps, which will be good. As Grizzly Bean is nearly overtaking the safety car here. Grizzly Bean, I don't know if you know, but you are not racing against Burnt Mylander. So just take it steady, brother. And you should be good up until the line. So we have got Rastamole is off the track. Rastamole is off the track again. But we will be going around once more, just because it allows Kizzy to get onto the back of the pack. But as we said, currently it stands Grizzly Bean 1, Bakerman 2, Spikerman in P3, Sylvester P4, RC in P5, Dan in P6, Ian Beale P7, Wilhelm P8, Mr. Camus P9, Callum is in P10, All Honda Man P11, Trucker P12, Fat Picasso 13th, Kizzy 14th, and Rastamol P15. But looking at your penalties, you've got Dan with 6 seconds, Wilhelm with 3, both Callum and All Honda Man with 6, Trucker with 9, Fat Picasso with 3, Kizzy hasn't got any, and Rastamol has 3. So as it stands, once Kizzy gets onto the back of them, Kizzy might get points here. Obviously there will be 3 laps of racing. So Kizzy may still end up in the point scoring. which will be a fantastic result for him. After being off the back for a little bit of time. But just looking here, obviously we've got a couple of 2 stops. We've even got Wilhelm on a 4 stop, same with Fat Picasso and Kizzy. Yeah, Grizzly Bean's definitely a little bit eager. He just needs to keep it steady. Just keep it calm, keep it composed. He'll have 3 laps of racing to show us what he's about. So the pack is all backed up here. Same again, please, boys. Just keep it steady on the restart. Just make sure we are good to go on the restart. Steady into turn 1. No heroes again. Because if you've done all that work to make sure you're in a decent spot, the last thing you want to do is throw it away in the last couple of laps. Grizzly, slow down. Right, here we go, and then we're about to get back underway for the final 3 laps here at Hungary. Mr. Oliver Conlon, or Grizzly Bean, is slowing them up very, very nicely. Keeping it a nice steady tempo. Oh, as he catches him napping. Catches him napping a little bit. Bakerman was too concerned with being a little bit too close. And here we go. Sylvester's going to make his traditional move that he will. Into turn 1. As RC, Dan goes for a bit of a move on RC here. Dan's still got some fight left in these medium tyres. But he is holding up the cars in behind. Obviously Dan on 13 lap old mediums now. He is not in a good spot. But Sylvester up into P3 now. We'll be looking to get past Bakerman as fast as possible and try and launch an attack on Grizzly Bean. But RC's up into P4. RC gets the move done up into P4 on his debut race. What can he do? Can he get back into the DRS of the boys ahead and manage to maintain that P4? Otherwise he will have some defending to do to come into the last lap. As we do have a caution in Sector 2, and Fat Picasso is facing the wrong way. He is not a happy boy currently. Let's just have a look. Does he have a wing? He has no wing. It's been an afternoon to forget for him. Sorry, an evening to forget for him. But Grizzly Bean has pulled out a second gap on Bakerman, and also he has pulled out a second on Sylvester. RC is sticking to the back of, so is Sparky Man. They are both on the back of Sylvester now, and will look with that DRS to potentially try and make a move if they are close enough on the last lap. But actually they will not get DRS. DRS will be activated, but because it is a double DRS, there will be no more DRS for the rest of the race. So this will be raw racing speed. But also looking at the times, I believe Kizzy, barring a mistake, will also get some points as well, as Wilhelm does get past Dan up into P7. But we will stay. Oh, Kizzy gets past All Honda Man as well. Kizzy is just trying to make sure that he gets the points, as Dan has dropped a couple of positions here to both Mr. Camus and also to Callum. So Dan, it is looking likely he will finish outside the points. Not the best of afternoons for the Mercedes boys. I believe that they probably should have boxed for the softs instead of taking the risk to stay out, as Kizzy is also past Trucker. His DRS gets enabled, but it will not make too much of a difference, as RC still closing on Sylvester, but obviously without that DRS there is not really much he can do. But as it stands here, the boys are still trying to battle on. RC getting ever closer to the back of Sylvester, but you'd have to think, with it just being the tight sections left, unless he goes for a risky move, He will probably just have to accept P4 with a little bit of a wobble on the exit, and that is not what you want. And he has now dropped into P5 with Spiky Man getting past him, but Spiky Man's flashing here. But Spiky Man goes wide. Spiky Man goes wide, and that allows RC to jump back up the inside of him. And RC, but Grizzly Bean will around the final corner. And at the second attempt, after a bit of a strategic blunder last week, he does take a victory here in LSR with Bakerman finishing P2. Sylvester rounds it out in P3, and he will be your Season 1 of Division 2 LSR champion. RC with a fantastic debut drive. Obviously had a spin early on with a bit of contact and managed to pull it back and finish P4. Spiky Man in P5. Ian Beale in P6. Then Ferrari boys are always next to each other. Mr. Camus in P7. Wilhelm finishes... It was P8, but because he left the session, it says DNF. But Wilhelm was P8. Boys, if you can refrain from leaving, that would be fantastic. As all it does is confuses the standings. Well, there you have it, everyone. You have your first Division 2 champion in Sylvester. Hopefully he sticks around next year. I believe he will be going up to Division 1 if he does. But it's going to be very, very interesting to see what he can do up there for a full season and mix it with the top drivers. Yeah, so as we can see, a bit of a confusion here. So if we work it out, we've got Grizzly Bean 1, Bakerman in P2, Sylvester in P3, RC P4, Sparky Man in P5, Ian Beale P6, Mr. Camus in P7. Then we got Wilhelm in P8, Kizzy in P9, Callum in P10, Dan P11, Trucker P12, All Honda Man P13, Fat Picasso in P14, and then we have also got Rastamole in P15, and then Sam Ross, English Dave, and Razat. Having a look at the standings, I believe, Mr. Dalton Johns, we can also confirm, let me just look at the standings here. We can also confirm that Ferrari are your Division 2 Constructors winners. Ferrari with some good points there, obviously P5 and P6. So they will get 18 points, which puts them at 63 ahead. Obviously minusing the 18 for Sylvester. Sorry, the 15 for Sylvester. They will be 48 points ahead. So there you have it, people. Ferrari are the Constructors winners, and also Sylvester is your champion. Sparky Man. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Sparky Man. It's been a very, very sort of consistent season for you and Mr. Ian Beale, always finishing next to each other, which has been fantastic to watch. And Phil, yeah, you can, if you want, you can take RC's engineering over. It was a very, very good drive for him. It was a great recovery, actually, considering there was a bit of a spin. But as always, boys, if there are any issues, please do put a ticket in. Yeah, Phil, there is some argy-bargy and elbowing. I did tell him there is people to watch with elbows, getting their elbows out. But all in all, a pretty good race. Obviously, a couple of safety cars, which we all hate, but it happens. There will definitely be a look at a driver who crashed himself out on purpose on the straight. That will definitely be investigated. Those elbows were definitely very much out. But from me, I would just like to say thank you to everybody for watching. Obviously, we will be back on Wednesday with some Assetto Corsa for the midweek races. And then we'll be back on Thursday for Division 1 of the F1 series around Hungary again. The penultimate race for those boys. And then we will move into next week. Next Monday will be the final race of the season for the boys. And it will be a great way to bow out to what I feel has been take a few little glitches out. It's been a really, really good game. It's been a very fun game. And it's also been a game for sort of learning when it comes to the sort of league racing side of things. But again, thank you everyone for watching. And until next time, see you later.